What is happening, my people? How are we doing? Happy Friday. And I wanted to dive into a little NFL draft because Caleb worked out. Marvin Harrison said nope and texted around a little bit just to get some people's general thoughts. What is going to happen high in the draft? Picks 1 through 4, which many believe that might be quarterbacks, and kind of what the league believes is shaping up the order of those guys. Monty Ossenfort, the Arizona Cardinals GM, who's picking 4, had some comments yesterday that I want to dive into. I saw a clip. I don't know who he was talking to, but Aaron Donald basically reiterated what Sean McVay had told Albert Breer about I'm full. And I think it's pretty clear the difference of like him and Kelsey, relative to the other quarterbacks in recent memory that were famous Hall of Famers that were forced to retire. And I do think it speaks to the violence on the line of scrimmage. I really do, because I just want to talk about Aaron Donald for a second. And then the hip drop tackle. Saw Troy Vincent, the league. I think we get league meetings here in a week or two. This is going to be something that, get ready, they're going to ban it. And I think it's insanity. I think it's, what are we doing? That's my response. But before we dive into some football, here's what I got for you. My friends at Game Time, download the Game Time app, the official ticketing app of this podcast. Do it, and do it now. And go to any event. You want to go to March Madness? You want to go to the NBA playoffs? You want to go to MLB baseball games? I guess Major League Baseball. I didn't need to say baseball twice. Concerts, comedy shows. I got you covered. Just download the Game Time app. Search the tickets you want. Search the sight line. Search the price points. Hammer that promo code. Promo code JOHN, JOHN, promo code John. Save yourself $20. How do you beat that? Buy a pair of tickets, get out. The sun is coming out. Well, hopefully where you live. And go enjoy a brewski, watch a game, have a good time, and do it on us. Download the Game Time app, promo code John. After Caleb worked out on Wednesday, I just texted a couple scouting directors. Not that I had any questions, but listen, it's a crazy business. We have seen a lot of, didn't see that coming, right? It happens every single year in the draft. It's going to happen again, because the outside media narratives and the way it's discussed in mock drafts kind of locks in casual fans' belief of where a guy's going to go. And then when he doesn't go, people are shocked. He's falling, he's dropping, and maybe he was never viewed as that highly of a prospect. But I just text a couple of people and it's like, Caleb Williams, a 100% lock for the number 1 overall pick, right? That we all believe. And every answer I got back, 100% yes. Everyone would be stunned. Like that would be a universal. If the number 1 pick is in and he wasn't the guy, we would be stunned. Caleb would be stunned. NFL people would be stunned. So everyone's on the same page. Then digging around a little bit, because I had heard, I watched Jayden Daniels, some highlights of Middle League Neighbors. He's clearly a really talented player, and he's going to go in the top 5. And I got some buzz that he's a really good prospect like a couple weeks ago. When I say buzz, just texting with people that do this for a living, that go through LSU. And then talking to people yesterday, I would say everyone agreed that they think Drake Maye is going to be the number 2 pick. When you factor in Adam Peters' history, when you factor in Dan Quinn's history, think about the guy Dan Quinn had the most success with, Matt Ryan. Think about who he's been with the last couple of years. Dak Prescott, who's really not a mobile guy. Adam Peters, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and then Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. Like, when you think about the guys that they've had success with, they weren't like Jayden Daniels, who is much more of this hybrid guy. I mean, he's closer, if he hits, more Lamar, where if Drake Maye hits, he's much more, I don't know, like Ben Roethlisberger or something. I mean, people believe he could get up to like 240, 245 pounds in a couple years. He's fucking huge. I mean, Nick Saban offered him $5 million to transfer from North Carolina this offseason. Alabama offered them $5 million. Mac Brown didn't say the team, but it was pretty clear it was them, because it wasn't LSU. I guess it could have been A&M, but a lot of people, myself included, believe it was Alabama. So from what I was told, people think it's going to be Drake Maye with the number 2 overall pick. And then I think the curveball is the Patriots. right? Because anyone assuming or trying to make an educated guess has no clue because there's nothing to build off of, right? We haven't seen these guys operate. They haven't, none of these guys, the same individual has run the Patriots for decades. And now you got Elliott Wolf, who's never been a GM, and Jayden Maye, who's been coaching for like 6 years. So, yeah, they could take Jayden Daniels. They could take JJ McCarthy. Hell, what if I told you they fucking love Bo Nix? I don't know. I'm assuming Jayden Daniels would go if May goes too. But, like, that's a complete assumption, right? It's pretty clear. Like, if I had to guess, who does the Minnesota Vikings like? I'd go JJ McCarthy, Drake Maye. Now, obviously, Drake Maye wouldn't be there at 4, but yesterday, the Arizona Cardinals general manager says, we have a sign right up right now. Lights are flashing. Give me a call. We are open for business. I think the Arizona Cardinals are a 100% lock to trade that pick if JJ McCarthy is there at 4. Now, I guess JJ McCarthy could go 3 to the Patriots. If Minnesota loves him, why couldn't the Patriots love him? So I'm not comfortable saying that McCarthy is not going to go 3. But if he's there and May's off the board, Caleb's off the board, Jayden's off the board, like I think it's very, very realistic that pick 11, pick 23, and maybe like next year's 2 and 3 go to the Arizona Cardinals. And they keep rebuilding this thing. So quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's what everyone in the league believes is going to happen. And part of this, and I wrote this down, there is not, it doesn't mean that it won't happen, but no one views like Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa, like those type guys in this draft. Because if that was the case, I think we would talk about these guys potentially going in one of these spots. It's like, hey, we're not quite comfortable with one of these quarterbacks. Maybe we'll trade back up and get a guy, but you don't pass on a talent like that. Doesn't exist. Like the second most talented position beside the quarterbacks, because most people believe there's a really good quarterback class. And I know we've said that before, but Caleb Williams, 3-year starter, Power 5. Drake Maye, multiple-year starter, Power 5. Jayden Daniels, multiple-year starter, Power 5. JJ McCarthy, multiple-year starter, Power 5. Bo Nix, Michael Penix. I mean, all these guys have been in the bright lights on the big stage for years. So it's not like, hey, kind of a one-year wonder. Like, you got a long resume. But the second position is wide receiver. And let's face it, historically, it's pretty clear you can find wide receivers a little bit later in the draft. So I think the lack of high-end defensive prospects, it doesn't mean there aren't going to be good defensive players, but high-end defensive prospects, allow this quarterback true inflation. Like this is like 2 years ago, feels like it's ripping 10%, right? Because if I told you there was a Myles Garrett or a Nick Bosa in this draft, wouldn't shock me if the Patriots did that at 3. I would say the Washington wouldn't, but the Patriots would be a swing. But there's not really a guy to take. You might as well take the quarterback. As someone in the league texted me last night, like Joe Alt ain't selling tickets. Kind of true. And you talk about the Patriots. I was watching these highlights last night of Mookie Betts. He's hitting fucking home runs, roping balls. It's like, it's one of the great players of all time. The Red Sox traded this guy. Think how crazy that is. The Red Sox, with all their money, traded that guy? Jeez Louise. So New England needs a little buzz. The thrill and excitement of March Mania is here. And DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, is giving new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets with any college basketball bet. North Carolina listeners, don't forget DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JOHN, J-O-H-N. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JOHN. The crown is yours. Aaron Donald. He gave a sit down. I don't know who the lady was he was talking to. For a second, I thought it was his wife. Maybe it was a media lady. And just said, I'm full. That's the comment he keeps using. I'm full. He told that to McVay after the Lions game. He said, I've been to multiple Super Bowls. I've been to a Pro Bowl every single year I've been in the league. Obviously, he's made a ton of money. I'm a champion. There's nothing left I can't accomplish that I already haven't accomplished. and he's correct. Same thing with Jason Kelce, right? Now, his speech was a little different, but he was much more emotional than watching Aaron Donald talk. But both these guys, current Pro Bowlers, Aaron Donald makes $30 million to play in the NFL. Kelce probably would have had to rework his deal, but he would have made somewhere in the vicinity of at least half that, $15+ million. Kelce has a very, very lucrative podcast. Doesn't make him $15 million a year. Aaron Donald, I don't care what he does, is not going to make $30 million. That's a lot of money to leave on the table when you're still playing at a high level. It's why so many quarterbacks never want to tap out. It's like, I'm not a dummy. Like, where am I going to make this money? Peyton Manning was told nobody wants you. It was clear Drew Brees couldn't throw the ball down the field. Roethlisberger's arm was shot. And that's usually how it happens. Like, this guy can't play anymore. None of those guys wanted to stop playing. Phillip Rivers kind of walked away, but it was clear like he was trending down. Matt Ryan was done. I mean, completely done. It was a rough watch. Most quarterbacks who have been all pros, Pro Bowls, MVPs, made a lot of money, never want to stop. Look at Tom Brady. Because his arm never went and he never got injured. He just fucking played forever. It took his wife being like, I'm leaving you. For the Taekwondo instructor, he's like, God, maybe I should quit. 45 years old, he quit. These guys, Aaron Donald is 32 years old. Kelce's like 35. Obviously, that's not young in NFL terms, but the amount of money they're leaving on the table, you know what I think it shows you? Is the level of pounding you take in the trenches, in the line of scrimmage. The NFL, relative to what it used to be, is obviously softer, right? There are not these huge hitters over the middle. No one's getting carted off the field from getting knocked out anymore. It doesn't exist in terms of wide receivers, tight ends going over the middle, DBs and linebackers. It's not allowed. It doesn't mean there's not violent hits, but just YouTube the 80s and the 90s, that level of football is different. But it still happens when the ball is snapped, when the defensive tackle or the defensive end is over a guard, center, or tackle. That is a very, very violent area. And that hasn't changed at all. And the pounding these guys take, most human beings are not the level of weight you have to shove around to be as strong as these guys and sustain, maintain, and improve that strength is a year-long workout program. Most human beings, like Trent Williams is an outlier. From what I've heard, he's not a huge lifter. He's just some guys God just gives freaky talents to, right? Jason Kelce, the moment he stops playing football, I bet he's 240 pounds in 6 months. The level of food and discipline he has to eat to maintain his weight / his muscle mass is probably, I mean, he's used to it now, but it's not a comfortable thing to do. Where if you're a quarterback, it's like, I'm making $30, $40 million a year. I just kind of light lift and I just throw. Play golf 4 times a week. Kelce and Aaron Donald probably on Monday can barely get out of fucking bed. So these guys are so rich. They've accomplished everything. It's like, I don't want to feel this pain anymore. Because I think the pain they feel is different than a lot of pain. Like, beside an individual injury, like Tyreek rolls his ankle, right? Do wide receivers relative to like a guard or a defensive tackle struggle to get out of bed on Monday morning? I would doubt it. I would doubt it. So I think this kind of represents that we all make fun of these new rules and what it was like when we were a kid, and it was a lot different. The football I grew up on was a war zone with a helmet and shoulder pads. It was, hell, I remember being intimidated when first day of high school football, putting on pads. It was a big deal, and it's still a big deal, obviously, in an NFL training camp when pads come on. But I vividly remember my first year in the NFL, or even working at Fresno State, like the double days, doing 9-on-7, which is a run drill. You know, we weren't doing quite the Oklahoma drill, but just doing physical drills. Like, it's against, you know, in college at a high level and definitely in the pros, like, it's an intimidating thing. And that world kind of doesn't really exist anymore at a lot of positions, but it still does at the line of scrimmage with the defensive and offensive linemen. And I think you saw 2 guys that were like, I can't take this pounding anymore. Like, I'm not chasing a Super Bowl. I'm not chasing wealth. I'm already rich. I already got a ring. I'm not chasing the Hall of Fame. I'm already going. Where it's like, if it was easier, I don't think they'd leave. That's the reason quarterbacks never want to leave. They don't feel that much pain. It's just their extremities stop working because maybe of an injury or wear and tear. So watching Aaron Donald, I think you see it on his face. Like I just the discipline it takes and the pain I have to feel to do this. Like I'm over it. And talk about pain. I've said this for a while. There's not a rule I despise more than the collegiate rules of targeting getting thrown out of a game. I think that's the most fucking absurd thing in the history of sports. In the history of sports. Maybe year one to kind of, hey guys, these are the new rules. We're not messing around. We're taking safety very seriously. 8 years later, no one is, Steve Atwater or John Lynch out there. No one's trying to hurt anybody. The rules are well established. Most of these kids, I don't even care if you play at Alabama, let alone the majority of colleges, are not going to play in an NFL football game. So if the guy's a senior or a junior, he only has so many games that he gets to play at this level. And then his career ends and he's working with me and you, selling insurance, working in finance, working at the car dealership, working a normal person's job. So this is the highlight of his athletic career, and you toss him out for a game. It grinds my gears. It fucking pisses me off just thinking about it. But I think this potential of I've always understood the overreaction to safety because they got sued. And anyone that's ever been around business, no one wants to get sued. And you take precautions and you do things that are kind of dumb to limit and mitigate the ability for anyone to come after you. Welcome to business. Because the more money you make, every fucking person is lined up to try to get their hand in that cookie jar. It's been happening, the history of capitalism. And it's only growing as these companies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, the NFL is only creating more money, right? Their business is growing economically at high rates. So if you think the CTE is the last time they're getting sued by a group of players, you're out of your mind. So the hip drop tackle, which I think is moronic, there is not a defender. The injury that happened to Mark Andrews last year, do you think, I forget his name, but 57 on the Bengals, was trying to injure Mark Andrews? Do you know what he was trying to do? Take a 6'3", 6'4", 255-pound guy, get him to the ground. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to tackle a guy running full speed. It could be a normal person like me, 5'10", $185. I'm kind of fat right now, probably $195. It's like, take some effort. Well, imagine elite athletes running at high rates of speed, full of muscle. It's just hard to get them to the ground. Just YouTube rugby, how guys get people to the ground. It's hard. You have to use your body weight. Not everybody is Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, or Luke Kuechly, or Navarro Bowman. They can just rip through you and have perfect form tackle, just like Pee Wee football. By any means necessary, get the guy to the ground. I think we have to establish, and I already think it is, no one's trying to injure anybody. That used to happen a lot, 70s and 80s. I truly believe that. That was the mindset, different. We can't even relate to the world in the 70s and 80s in 2024. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it was part of the game. Those days are done. Those guys are friends. Everyone's rich. I'm just trying to tackle you because that's my job. And I'm not trying to hurt you. But sometimes when you get tackled, guess what? You get injured. Right? It's part of the collision. So reading Troy Vincent's quotes, they're going to outlaw it. That is, it would be stunning if next year they're not throwing flags or the quote unquote hip drop tackle. I'm telling you, it is going to come into play in big spots. A guy just makes a tackle and it's like flag. That they were supposed to punt 15 yards, automatic first down. Buckle up, get ready for it, because we're all going to be screaming at our TVs. I could say it's avoidable, but I do understand the business side of this. They don't want to get sued anymore. But from the consumer, just fan of football and just understanding and feel for defensive players, I think it's outrageous.